gang violence and other kind of violence.
Get away! I could be at work, at school, in my car, I can still get shot by the police. I can get shot anywhere.
So it is what it is.
'20 and 2021 were some of the most violent years in Milwaukee for non-fatal shootings and homicides, but 2022 is on track to be worse.
Woo! So it's only getting worse from 2020, 2021, and now 2022. These super gremlins are on demon time.
You have unfortunate people who are not controlling their anger, frustration.
And Milwaukee Police Chief Jeffrey Norman says they're seeing more mass shootings than before, like the 5 adults shot Friday near 13th and Febrance.
You heard that. More mass shootings. More mass shootings, and it's not the incel school shooter. Nah, B. It's your typical real nigga. The street dude. That's the guy who's committing the most mass shootings. So to that, I ask, sisters, come get your kids.
What do you think needs to be done to cut down on the rash of shootings that we've seen?
We all have ownership in having the impact. Understand that there are so many different resources out there. The need to have more collaboration, more support, and understand what the need is and be able to fulfill some role in that need.
NPD numbers show year-to-date, compared to 2021, homicides are up at least 20%, though a small drop in non-fatal shootings. Experts in violence prevention efforts say it's a problem requiring multiple solutions.
We have these issues with the courts. We have these issues with cases, people walking around and getting bails who shouldn't get bails and things.
Okay, so who was pioneering for criminal justice reform? Who was protesting for that? Who voted for that? Brother Vaughn? Brother Mays? Who voted for that, man? You got people on the streets who getting bonds who should not be getting bonds. Who are you to be the judge of somebody who doesn't get a bond and who does? Okay? Sounds like you're implementing your privilege into a person who's been systematically oppressed and marginalized. You're not thinking from their perspective. Okay? If this was a white guy, would you be saying the same thing if they were getting bombed out too? You see how the logic just falls apart? And this is what they take to the polls. And then when they get the results, they're upset.
Things of that nature. So the constant and progressive breakdown of the system is leading to more people also not wanting to deal with that system. And
this is not a breakdown of the system. This is the system working exactly how you guys have instructed it to. This is what you've been protesting for. We remember those protests in Milwaukee. We remember y'all were one of the main ones talking about some defund the police. Were you not? So stop the cap or the turban or the head guard, whatever you want to say. Stop it.
And taking things into their own hands.
It's connected to things like access to education, healthcare, safe housing.
What? Oh my God. Let's listen.
Affordable housing. When any one of those situations is improved, people in that area are less likely to become victims of gun violence or perpetrators of gun.
So are you saying that the Kia boys ain't getting to a bag?
Violence.
In Milwaukee, Caroline Reinwald, WISN 12 News.
And 12 News reached out to Milwaukee's Office of Violence Prevention for comment on the violent weekend. We did not get a response.
Now at 5, a man shot inside his home while watching TV. It happened last night near 42nd and Sheridan. Bullet holes mark up that home today.
The neighborhood rattled after that shooting. So far, no suspects in custody.
Our Bruce Harrison talked to the victim's family and people who live nearby. They have to be very frightened about all of this, Bruce.
The homeowner and neighbors are unnerved that the house was shot up again, but this time an innocent person was seriously injured.
I actually heard the gunshots. I was in my bedroom.
Those shots shattering the windows and walls of this home. One bullet striking a 42-year-old man watching TV.
And he's nonverbal. So he can't express, he can't comprehend what was going on. And I can imagine, so I was just devastated and just hurt because he's just like a child. He's innocent.
Carol Crowley knows the family, and the man's mother tells us off camera her son, who's autistic, will survive. But
wow, man. So these super gremlins shooting up autistic kids' cribs. Or I guess he's a 42-year-old man who's autistic. Either way, they're just not caring, and it's not getting better. And Karen doesn't have the solutions, as we just heard from her, saying it was due to not having access to health care and affordable housing and all this other BS. Look, if you want to make that argument, then why are the numbers getting worse? Okay. Why is it just getting worse? I know we're going through a recession and inflation, all that kind of stuff. But it's got to be deeper than that, because if they was already broke before the pandemonium, then I guess you can only imagine that they're probably getting broker. But I mean, a lot of dudes came up off that PPP. So I don't know, man. It's just, you can definitely see the effects of pre-pandemonium to after pandemonium. But that's not the only thing. I think they just kind of unleashed the floodgates and did a silent switch up of all the laws in the major cities. And this is the result.
she says he'll need surgery on his arm.
I think it's just terrible. It's someone that's just senseless.
According to police, the shooting happened about 8:30 Monday night. Police say they're investigating and searching for unknown suspects. What do you think about these shootings where people target homes without having any idea who's inside?
I think it's horrible. And I am a mother, lost a child to gun violence. And my son's anniversary was September 3rd, just passed. And I was dealing with that, and it hurts me deeply when I turn the news on and I hear about this violence.
The man's mother says this is the second time her home has been shot, and she's planning to move away with her son and the rest of the family.
And my thing is, this sister said that she lost her child to gun violence. Excuse me. So condolences to her, but did you change the way that you're voting? Did you change your political posturing? Because if you didn't, then it's like, did you even learn your lesson?
Reporting in Milwaukee, Bruce Harrison, TMJ4 News.
A Milwaukee woman's homicide. Her son has opened a business in her name.
Michelle Blackman was shot and killed inside her home in 2020. Our Ashley Sears joins us live now with how her son is honoring his mother through his love of food.
Yes, Stephanie, he's called the food truck Shell's Kitchen, named after his late mother, Michelle Blackman. He's using her photo as the business logo and her memory as his motivation. Alongside the hum of traffic at 68th and Silver Spring, an orange trailer sits parked on the road, creating its own buzz. Montrell Howard is hard at work inside, cooking up some of his favorite recipes.
She always used to cook, and my family used to cook. My grandma used to cook.
It's a business venture he started alone, but it doesn't feel that way.
She was a loving person. She was godly. Everybody who knows her know how she is. She was truthful.
Howard created the food truck Shell's Kitchen in honor of his late mother.
And it just doesn't matter how old you are, how young you are. Anybody can get it. It's not just kids killing kids. It's kids killing grandparents as well. It's crazy how this older woman could find herself in the crosshairs of these super gremlins on demon time.
52-year-old Michelle Blackman was shot and killed inside her Milwaukee home in September of 2020. On the 2-year anniversary of her death, the business has opened in front of the same home, in part as a tribute.
Everybody hurt, but everybody move on to my family, try to build and keep our name alive.
Blackman's photo graces the front of the truck with her favorite Bible verse underneath. While the pain of her loss persists, Howard finds comfort in her memory, honoring her life with his passion.
I'm very proud. I know that's my blessing. She's my blessing.
Now, Blackman was killed by her brother. Mario Stokes will be spending the rest of...
She was literally killed by her brother. Think about what type of anger and hatred you have to have for your own sister to just X her out like that. Now that's different. That is mad different. These super sibling gremlins are on demon time.
His life in a mental health institution. Reporting live at 68th and Silver Spring, Ashley Sears, Fox 6 News.
Glad to see he's come a long way. Ashley, thank you.
I'm here on the corner of MLK and Frederick Douglass, where a shooting just took place. And as you can see, it's a pretty rough area. So I'm basically risking my life reporting on this madness. So make sure you do me a favor and hit the subscribe button. Like the video, hell, share the video. And make sure you go ahead and leave a comment down in the comments section to continue the discussion on how we can find solutions to all this son violence in the streets. I'm Jenquavius Jackson, here live, reporting from Atlanta, Georgia, BGZM News 17.
New at 4:30, her ex-boyfriend shot her over a dozen times, all of it caught on video. The victim is now sharing her story, helping someone recognize that shooter.
We want to warn you, the video is disturbing. CBS 2's Sabrina Franza joins us now. Sabrina, what do we know?
Jim Marie, this woman was shot 14 times in front of her 3 children. Somehow,
14 times in front of her kids. That's different.
she survived. Her ex-boyfriend is the suspect, and police think the Chicago area might be one of the places where he's hiding with family.
I would like for the whole video to be played so people can understand from my point of view and from my kids' point of view.
Legs shaking uncontrollably, Nakia Shoemake relives her nightmare.
Wow, man. This woman is strong to get up on this damn camera and recount what happened to her. Okay, so there's a lot that we have to break down. The super gremlin that shot her, I can only imagine how lengthy of a rap sheet he had in his adult criminal history, not to mention his youth offender criminal history, because you don't just wake up and start doing this. He's exemplified a pattern of this violent behavior. And it seems like these types of actions are just accepted in the community until they're not. Like, he can easily, like, if he was not apprehended, he can easily go back on the streets and, you know, it would be like nothing ever happened. It would be like, you know, he just caught like a legit body that, you know, obviously catching a body shouldn't be celebrated, but there's like certain guys who are going to get celebrated for catching bodies because they ran up on their ops, or they ran up on somebody who was coming out to get them, or they were defending themselves. Like, there's bodies that you can catch that are quote unquote respectable, even though we don't condone any of it. But my point is that from the community's perspective, this should be even more egregious than killing another black man trying to, you know, kill a sister. But he can go back on the block and get his hustle on and still be respected and admired by his peer super gremlins based off of this backwards culture that we live in, glorify, and even protect.
Just kept shooting, then I just fell to the ground. I just laid there and just lay him, kept shooting it.
Look at that child, man. That's ridiculous.
He was done.
Her ex-boyfriend caught on camera shooting her 14 times on July.
So as you can see, the ex-boyfriend, indicators of demon time, the neck tattoos, and the grilled out teeth. And you can see he was sagging with gym shorts on and had the Dewey. It's just looking ridiculous, man. This is ghetto.
Times on July 23rd in Milwaukee. But what really got her, what made the tears start falling?
She screaming out of anger. She just wanted to stop.
Seeing their children, ages 12, 5, and 2, get out of the car to save her.
When I opened my eyes and I seen my baby, my eyes was able to focus, so I just got
How the hell does she stand up like that after being shot 14 times? That's crazy.
up like this a little bit, and then I was like, oh, I could stand up, and then I just stood up all the way, and I grabbed my babies, and we went. I seen the lady; she was just sitting there watching. So I went to her car and I opened the door and I pushed her.
You heard what she said. The lady was just sitting there watching. So much for female solidarity. She ain't pull out her strap and start busting back. She didn't tell that man, hey, you need to leave that woman alone. Stop shooting her. She just sat there and watched. And I'm not saying one of these males in the community would have did anything either. That's not what I'm saying. But I know for a fact the police would have done something for sure.
Their laundry over, and I was like, can you please just take me?
In the video, you can see 32-year-old Shoemake's longtime boyfriend, Askia Strong, fire and seemingly come back to finish the job. Then he flees down an alley.
The moment I get up off that ground, I was a hero. It was victory for me from that point on.
Now, he's wanted for attempted murder. She's hoping sharing this video will help find him.
Just turn him in.
It's believed that Strong fled to hide with family in neighboring states. And we did reach out to state police as well as Chicago police to see who they're working with, if they're working with Milwaukee PD. But they could not tell us specifics. They want everyone to keep an eye out for Strong, but they don't want him to know where they have boots on the ground looking for him. From the newsroom, Sabrina Franza, CBS 2 News.
Incredible that she survived, and glad she spoke with us. Thank you, Sabrina.
Gang violence and other kind of violence. So it is what it is.
What's good, cyberspace? It's the Black Gen Z Mindset. Make sure you go ahead and like, comment, share, subscribe, and let's get into the video. All right, guys. So we have to go over this serial killer, this glider gremlin, Timothy Haslett Jr. It was reported that a black woman actually escaped his grasp. He basically had women bound up in his home in a secret room that he built himself. And it's a very interesting story. Obviously, this guy is an evil man. And he also had his children, or child, rather. He had one son, I believe, in the house while he is torturing these women. Now, I don't know if specifically he targeted black women, but it is reported that a black woman was able to escape from what he had going on. So we're just going to do some research, some live research. I haven't looked into it heavily yet, but I wanted to do this with you guys. So let me see. Okay, let's pull it up. So this comes from, let me just share the screen with you. So this comes from Spiritual Word. And they say a black woman escaped after being held against her will by a white man in Missouri, police say. So weeks after residents of a Kansas City, Missouri neighborhood said they complained to police that black women were missing, authorities are facing community backlash after a black woman says a white man held her captive. A 22-year-old woman identified by police in court in a probable cause form as TJ escaped on October 7th from the Excelsior Springs, Missouri home of Timothy Marion Haslett Jr., a man whom she accuses of kidnapping and raping her after he picked her up in Kansas City in early September. Now, why she got in this man's car, I have no clue. Excelsior Springs is part of the Kansas City metropolitan area. It was significantly apparent that she had been held against her will for a significant period of time. Lieutenant Ryan Dowdy of the Excelsior Springs police told reports outside Haslett's home. He said investigators are still processing evidence taken from Haslett's home and that the investigation is ongoing. According to the probable cause form, TJ said she escaped from a room in the man's basement. Haslett's neighbors told KMBC and KCTV that TJ went to multiple homes to seek help while Haslett took his child to school. TJ also said there were other women, but police have found no evidence of others so far. The woman's escape comes weeks after the community leaders said they told authorities that they believed a potential predator was targeting black women in the Kansas City area. Authorities from the Kansas City Police Department initially called the report of a serial killer targeting black women completely unfounded, according to a statement published by the the Kansas City Star newspaper. TJ was wearing latex lingerie, a metal collar with a padlock, and had duct tape around her neck when she escaped, according to probable cause form. So shout out to Cyrus Cherry with the $10 super trap. He says, St. Louis, murder capital of the world. He probably figured in this area of cell phones, these women wouldn't be missed or that they had no loved ones. Funny he got caught after the Dahmer series.
Oh, say less.
Yeah, man. And I mean, it's interesting because, you know, could we say that some of these Netflix series are radicalizing people? I know they try and get on YouTubers for radicalizing people, but are some of these Netflix series radicalizing people? I guarantee they don't want to have that conversation because there were people, quote unquote, inspired by the Dahmer thing. Now, I'm not saying that he was specifically, but we did have that serial killer in California. That serial killer in California as well, who was killing men. And, you know, we haven't really heard much about that, but I think a lot of these people are being influenced by some of these Netflix series. So let's get into some of the meat and potatoes of what actually occurred in this situation.
Springs neighbor recorded the arrest of a rape, kidnapping, and assault suspect, unaware that a days-long large-scale investigation would follow. Timothy Haslett Jr. is charged with rape, kidnapping, and second-degree assault after a woman told police she escaped his home after being held captive there since September. KCTV5's Emily Rittman spoke with one of the neighbors. And Emily, what was it that concerned him that morning?
Well, Sharon, Everardo Miranda says that he and his fiance had previously had issues with Timothy Haslett Jr.'s dog acting aggressively.
So he's got an aggressive dog. I mean, sometimes that does happen. I got a aggressive dog right now that I'm trying to honestly like get rid of. So if you need a dog, hit me up. But it's very wild that this man could just have been doing this for so long. I guess, and it's not that long. I mean, he was getting away with it for a month or so, but not a lot of neighbors talking nowadays. It just seems like the unity has left a lot of these neighborhoods.
On Friday, October 7th, their usual walk to the school bus stop with their child was interrupted. When Miranda took this cell phone video, he assumed Timothy Haslett Jr., seen in handcuffs at the front of the vehicle, was under arrest for animal control violations. Miranda says he did not know Haslett Jr. well, but he was frustrated with him about his dog's behavior.
I tried to wave to him, say hi, good morning, but he would never say anything or look at me in the eyes.
Last Friday, Miranda said.
So they might even hit him with a hate crime. They're hitting a lot of people with the hate crime, specifically Karens, but they might hit him with a hate crime just because one of his brown neighbors from the Comunitino across the street said that he wasn't waving at him in the morning, while he was walking his dog. Just some food for thought.
Said Haslett Jr.'s dog was loose in the neighborhood.
Oh, and I got a pit bull, guys, just in case you want to take my dog off my hands. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he loves people. He's great with people, but he's a menace to any animal. Like any animal, like it's on go.
As the couple walked their child to the bus stop.
His dog was out, and on our way back, my fiance and I, the dog saw my fiance and tried to launch at her. And there was a police officer coming up this street right here, Don Sheldon.
Court records show around 7:47 that morning, neighbors called 911 to report a woman banged on their doors for help with a metal collar around her neck that had a padlock on it that was restricting her breathing. First responders removed the padlock. She told police a man named Timothy picked her up off of Prospect in Kansas City in September and held her hostage in a small room that he built in his basement. Police waited for Haslett Jr. to return to the home he lived in off Old Orchard Avenue. They initially arrested him for animal control violations.
Good thing they stopped him from getting inside that house.
Haslett Jr. is scheduled to appear in court next week on October 18th for a bond hearing. Miranda says it's difficult to walk by the home at the center of the investigation. The windows are boarded up, a fence surrounds the property. Miranda says he hopes the woman will be able to recover and heal.
I hope she stays strong. It's going to make me want to tear up, but I hope she stays strong. Can't believe this happened here.
Yeah, man. It is getting wild, and people are starting to get emboldened. They kind of feel like it's easier to get away with crimes. And this is not just in the community with super gremlins. This is from the glider gremlins too. As you can see, the sickos are coming out and they're doing damage. And the woman said that there were more people. I'm not sure. She's the only one so far. We're still waiting on the evidence. But I mean, would you really be surprised? I mean, seriously.
And now anyone with information about this ongoing investigation is asked to call the number on your screen. That number is 816-629-7103. And according to court documents, once the woman was with investigators inside of an ambulance, she told them that she could show them the home that she was held captive. They say that she pointed to the home where Haslett Jr. lived. Continue to stay with KCTV5 on this developing story for updates. Reporting live, Emily Rittman, KCTV5 News.
All right, thank you, Emily. And according to court documents filed during a 2015 divorce, Haslett Jr. previously worked for a railroad company.
So it looks like he was divorced. I guess he had some sort of custody with his child, blue collar guy. And he pretty much spazzing out now.
Several neighbors told KCTV5 News that they thought he currently worked in construction. His public social media page listed a contracting company as his employer. Well, yesterday, Haslett Jr. pleaded guilty in a separate case for a careless driving charge involving an accident. Previously filed citations show that he is accused of driving into the rear of a moving vehicle on 3 separate occasions in July, August, and December of.
So, I mean, could he also have been drunk driving as well? I mean, this guy's got a lot going on here.
Last year. At the time of his arrest, Haslett Jr. had 3 active warrants for failure to appear in Clay County, Cooper County, and Liberty, Missouri.
Okay, so I got some more stories, got some more information on this joint. But it seems like I want to see if they found any more people, and I definitely want to get more information on the woman that he held captive. But it's getting wild out here, man. Y'all need to stay on alert, stay strapped, protect yourselves at all times. It's getting ugly out this bitch, no cap. I ain't even gonna lie. You don't know who these people are.
8:27, and we have just learned that an Excelsior Springs man who is charged with kidnapping, rape, and assault will not be going back to court today.
And I bet that she was so happy to see the police. For sure. You know what I'm saying? She was super happy to see the police. And that's the part that always kind of gets you, because they were all screaming defund the police. But then once they get into a little trouble, which this ain't a little trouble, this is a lot of trouble. They're looking for the police, screaming, "Somebody help me!" All that. You know what I'm saying?
As planned. Now, we're talking about Timothy Haslett Jr. He was originally supposed to appear in Clay County Court. He is asking for his bond to be reduced. Now, court documents show that the hearing is pushed back to 3 weeks from today. Police say that a woman escaped his home earlier this month and ran to a neighbor's for help, saying that she'd been held against her will for weeks. Now, Haslett, he has pleaded not guilty. We have a heads up for drivers.
Okay. So that was a little bit. He actually, in the last one, they said he pleaded guilty, but let's see.
Today, a judge entered a not guilty plea for a man charged with holding a woman against her will and sexually assaulting her before she says she escaped and ran to neighbors for help.
Timothy Haslett Jr. is charged with rape, kidnapping, and second-degree assault after a woman told police that on Friday that she was held hostage since September inside of his Excelsior Springs home. KCTV5's Emily Rittman was inside the courtroom as Haslett Jr. faced a judge. She joins us now live from outside the Clay County Courthouse with new information from court records. Emily, what have you learned?
Well, Sharon, according to the court records filed today, they detailed the days-long investigation that began after the woman ran and knocked on neighbors' doors for help around 7:47 Friday, October 7th. She told investigators that a man named Timothy picked her up in Prospect in Kansas City in September. And
But why did she get in her car? Was this some like Uber, or I think that definitely needs to be something that people are made aware of, right?
held her hostage inside of his home.
Neighbors who helped the woman by calling 911 and sheltering her until police arrived previously told KCTV5 News she had obvious injuries and was terrified. Sierra Tharp's grandmother gave the woman food and a blanket.
She said she was very hungry, and my grandma could tell she was weak, and she didn't have a whole lot of clothes on. She said that she had a metal dog collar around her neck, and she could see the ligature marks on her wrists.
According to court documents, first responders.
Shout out to Rob P with the 199 super trap. He says, "Can I get mod status, please? I've been a fan for a few months."
Oh, say less.
Yeah, for sure. Let me just get to the YouTube stream. But yeah, this reminds me of that story that I think I actually have it premiering now, of the woman who basically had her kids locked up, held against their will, and she actually made them eat their own feces and drink their own urine. She was also having them drink cleaning products and detergent. I mean, it's a lot of wicked, despicable things going on in the community right now, and it's really a lot to cover. Let's see. Let's see if I can. Have I dropped? Oh yeah, it was the woman named. What's that girl's name? Zakiya Duncan, and I think she's from Baton Rouge, but she had held her children captive in Harris County, Texas, in a house that they were renting, I believe. Very sad story. A white woman was the one who actually ended up saving them, but I'll leave that story for it's premiering tomorrow at 5:30, so make sure you guys tune into that. It's going to be very interesting. But yeah, let me add my boy Rob as a mod. Guys, like the video. Okay. Share the video, because it's just getting it's going to get good later on when we get some more details. But this stuff is going on nonstop, and it's ridiculous. These glider gremlins are on demon time.
Responders had to remove a padlock from a metal collar around the 22-year-old woman's neck because it was restricting her breathing.
Damn.
The woman told police a man named Timothy kept her in a small room in the basement that he had built and assaulted and raped her on multiple occasions. Police observed injuries on her body. She told investigators she could show them where she was held hostage. As the ambulance she was inside drove by, investigators say she pointed to the home where Haslett Jr. lived, off Old Orchard Avenue in Excelsior Springs. She ran for help just down the street on Don Shelton Boulevard. When investigators searched the home where Haslett Jr. lived, they say they found a room in the basement consistent with what the woman had described. Yesterday, crews boarded it up and put a fence around the home. Neighbors previously said they are concerned about the possibility of other victims.
She had made the comment about her friends that they didn't make it, that he had killed them.
Damn. So, I mean, if we're going from what she's saying, it was some folks that didn't make it to the other side, and I don't know if they were her friends before she got kidnapped, or maybe she made friends when she was under this man's captivity. But very sad situation. She's lucky to have left with her life, because this type of thing can be very dangerous. Okay, extremely dangerous. So you got to be careful on who you're getting in the vehicle with. Every time I'm riding Uber, any type of rideshare thing or whatever, I'm I'm definitely strapped up. Like, I'm not finna get in the car and just be naked out here.
I'm really hoping that they find evidence about her friends. If anything, she can have closure about her friends.
The charges filed so far in the investigation involve the rape, kidnapping, and assault of the woman who ran to neighbors for help and do not reference additional victims.
I just hope they can find everything they need to.
Police are examining evidence recovered from the home to investigate if other crimes were committed. According to an application for a search warrant, investigators asked the court to seize a 10 by 10 by 16-inch safe and its contents, any evidence related to illegal sexual acts, and felonious restraint, including ropes, restraints, whips, handguns, and other weapons. Investigators were also searching for any trace evidence, including fingerprints, DNA, hair fibers, apparent blood or bodily fluids, and any item with apparent blood or bodily fluids, in addition to video or digital media or storage devices.
According to court records, after police spoke with the woman on Friday, they waited outside of Haslett Jr.'s home for him to return. Once he did, they arrested him on animal control violations initially at the time. He is expected to be back in court next week for a bond hearing. Today in the courtroom, he did plead guilty to a separate case involving a careless driving charge that happened in August of 2021. During discussion about the careless driving case, he told the judge the reason that he had failed to appear in court on several occasions was because he was out of town for work and at one point had been hospitalized for an infection. This is an ongoing investigation and we will continue to follow it for you. Reporting live, Emily Rittman, KC TV5 News.
All right, thanks for that update, Emily.
All right. Shout out to Spicy Cherry or Parodies with the 199 Super Trap. He says someone stop these kidnappers on Demon Time.
Oh, say less.
Yeah, not for real. I don't really know why she would have gotten in the vehicle with him. So that's why I'm saying maybe it was like a Uber situation or a Lyft situation, but it could have been something else. He could have did like white Vander, whatnot. We don't know. But from the way that they're describing it, it sounds like she may have gotten into his vehicle voluntarily, maybe hitchhiking or whatnot. Maybe she trusted him. For what reason, I don't know. But, you know, I see a lot of sisters do this stuff where they try and act like, you know, people don't stereotype and you shouldn't stereotype, but they be stereotyping too. Like sometimes they be giving these scruffy looking blue collar white dudes the benefit of the doubt. Right or wrong. I mean, we can go there, but that's the reality of the situation.
This afternoon, KNBC 9's Matt Evans is outside the Clay County Courthouse in Liberty with what police documents reveal. Matt?
Chris Haslett appeared virtually today from the Clay County Jail here at the Clay County Courthouse. A judge read him the charges against him, including the possible punishments he is facing before entering a not guilty plea on his behalf, and then telling Haslett he would be assigning him a public defender in this case. This all comes as we are learning more disturbing details about the case released from court documents today. The bevy of police activity at this home on Old Orchard Road in Excelsior Springs has been replaced today by an eerie calm. The home is fenced off and boarded up as police now begin to examine all the evidence they collected here.
We don't have a timeline. We know it's going to be somewhat of a lengthy investigation.
Police Chief Gregory Dole says he understands the public wants to know more information, but also cautions that it might be a while before that can happen.
We want to make sure that we don't do anything that would compromise the integrity or the outcome of the investigation. We want to see that justice is upheld, not only for the victim in this case, but also for this community. We believe that they deserve that. So we just want to make sure that we get it right.
We did learn more from this probable cause statement today, released in Clay County. In it, the victim, a 22-year-old woman, told police Haslett picked her up on Prospect Avenue in Kansas City in early September and held her captive in a small room in his basement where he sexually assaulted her until she was finally able to escape last Friday when Haslett took his child to school. Police were there when he got back.
Smart, man. She's smart. I know she was sick up in that man's basement or down in that man's basement. Ooh, man. Whoo. It's really unsafe for a lot of these women out here being single. You know, it's all fun and games until a man who is evil and has evil intentions for you comes in and pulls your card, you know? Shout out to Cyrus Cherry with the $20 super trap. He says, I wonder how often stuff like this happens and the purpose never caught. I wonder if drug use stopped people from doing this more often. The abuse twins from Texas, affluent neighborhood, bizarre mental instability is real.
Hold on. Hello? Where we at? Oh, you want to know where I'm at? We outside!
Yeah, that's real. That is real. Mental instability. The twin situation was crazy. It also could have been a dating app situation, right? Maybe the sister felt comfortable getting picked up by this guy, going to his crib off of a dating app. You never know. Okay, you never know.
Less than an hour later.
We established a perimeter around the house very quickly, and sure enough, the guy came back and we were able to take him into custody without incident.
Chief Dole also telling us today that taking Haslett into custody before he was able to get back inside the house helped preserve that large amount of evidence they collected, that they are now beginning that painstaking process of going through everything. Haslett, by the way, due back in court 1 week from today at 1:30 p.m. next Tuesday for a bond hearing. Live in Liberty this evening, Matt Evans, KBC 9 News.
Wow. I mean, this guy is sick. I'm really trying to get more information on the friend, or the friends rather, who didn't make it. Let's see if we can find something on that, because they hit me with an ad. Hold on. Damn, and I can't even mute that. All right. Well, yeah. I'm gonna try and see if we can find more information on the friends, because if he killed them, then where are the bodies? What's going on here? Whew. What was the demographic?
The house off Old Orchard remains quiet, fenced up, a crime scene with questions.
I have as many questions probably as the general public does at this point.
Clay County Prosecutor Robert Sanders is looking for new leads, wondering why and how Tim Haslett Jr., charged with rape and kidnapping, was able to keep a woman inside his basement since last month, according to police.
We know certain things because we have charged an individual in this horrific crime, but by no means do I know all the details.
Allow us to do our job.
Excelsior Springs police continue to investigate leads. So far, they have not found evidence of other victims, but continue to work all angles.
We want to get this right.
So they haven't found evidence of other victims. Maybe he could have disposed of the other victims in time. But we also have, there's a woman who actually dated this man, Tim Haslett, that I want to kind of break that down as well, because it sounds like these dudes out here are not, let's see, they're not like the incel type guys that they're trying to make it seem like. You know what I'm saying? Like he was able to get this consensual situation going with another woman, but now he's out here just taking WAP. There's so much more to the situation than just to say, oh well, you know, he's not getting, he's an incel, he's this, he's that, he's socially awkward. There's so much more to the situation than just going right there. You know,
we're going to be very thorough in what we do.
We need more information.
The prosecutor says if you know something about what happened here or with the man charged, to let police know.
So we can follow up on that and see what it leads to.
Okay, shout out to okay. Oh wow. So shout out to my man Charles. He says Prospect Avenue is a hoe stroll in Kansas City. So I guess this woman, this 22-year-old woman, could have possibly been a working girl, if you know, if that's what we want to call it. She was a working girl. Wow.
And we did ask the prosecutor about the woman in this case. He said that she has all the help that she needs. She is out of the hospital. Again, police and prosecutors still looking for those tips. Live in Liberty, Matt Cleaner, KBC 9 News.
All right. So let's see. I do want to get into some interviews, because there's this woman, I guess, Hidden True Crime, and she has interviewed some women that he has dealt with, some people that he knew. So we're going to get into that as well. But I'm trying to get as much as I can from the news, guys. And then we will go from there. Let's see. Yeah, so I'm trying to get as much as I can from the news. Let's see. But this is wild, bro. I mean, these guys like this, if he X some people out as well, You got to think, man. He's got skills. He really does. He's got disposal skills. I mean, he worked construction, right? He's a blue collar guy. Built the entrapment in his basement. So he knows his way around a tool shed. So it doesn't sound good. It doesn't sound good. He probably has the ability to get rid of a body if that's something that he was trying to do or did, according to this other woman. But it's crazy. Let's get it.
It's a scary world to be raising my daughter in. For Alyssa Meredith, especially in being in my hometown, the crime scene just down the street from her house is like nothing she's ever seen before. There's never been this much activity in Excelsior. For hours, neighbors sat and watched as detectives took bags of evidence out of the house on the corner of Old Orchard Avenue.
This is going to be a multi-day process.
Police say a woman ran from the home, screaming for help on Friday morning.
It was readily apparent that she had been held against her will for a significant period of time.
She told police she was kidnapped and sexually assaulted. She also says there are more victims. We asked, police won't comment on that.
This is an ongoing, we continue to find more and more stuff.
A cadaver dog also searched the property. Video from News Chopper 9 shows detectives combing through evidence on the side of the house. Still, no specifics on what they found.
We just want to make sure that we leave no stone unturned.
What they will say is this investigation will take a while.
The nature of the crimes. So it just makes it so that we can't finish it in a day. That's the reality of it.
Now, neighbors are waiting to learn what exactly that reality looked like. Excelsior is a small community, so it's kind of just, it's shocking.
And I wish we had a picture of the victim, but I'm sure they're keeping her identity disclosed. But let's get into an interview of his ex-girlfriend. I don't know how long they dated, the timeline of them, breaking up. And I don't know if this is the mother of his children, but we'll get into it. Let's see.
Hey everyone, I am here with Maggie. Maggie dated casually for a couple of weeks, nothing exclusive, Timothy Haslett. And
okay, so she got kids, dated casually for, since my guy had dropped the PayPal on me, it sounds like to me that the dated casually thing, she was giving the GFE, the girlfriend experience. So he was paying hookers, he was paying whores, he was paying prostitutes. Okay. And a lot of times you will hear about things like this going on in that industry because, some of the men are just broken, whether it be like the way that they move, their thought process, their mindset, their anger issues. Okay. And I guess they have just, and I'm not saying guys who pay are like this for sure. That's not true because there's plenty of guys who pay who are fine. But I think that industry does attract a certain type of guy. And it attracts all types of guys, but I think it's more negative. It's more negative attention than positive.
are here to explain, here to share a little bit more about your experience with him. Can you share a little bit, Maggie?
Sure. So we met on a dating site and we went out on a few dates. I went to his house one time and he was literally.
So y'all heard what she said, dating sites. So he's on a dating app and this nigga is getting right swipes on dating apps, bro. You can't make this shit up. This scruffy looking dude is getting right swipes on dating apps. It's guys, get off the dating apps. It's dead. It's dead. Okay.
Literally a perfect gentleman. There was zero red flags. And I was telling you earlier, like literally without a real life victim, I would not have believed this in a million years.
Okay. Okay. You would have not believed this in a million years without a real life victim. How did you see the news? How did you learn about it?
Wow. So she's saying he was a complete gentleman, all this kind of stuff. I mean, it's very interesting. Why did he choose to start doing this if he was, having successful link ups? I mean, she was casually smashing the guy, as you can see. So obviously, these serial killers are able to get consensual intercourse. So what is it with them just spazzing and taking a woman against her will and all that kind of stuff,
Well, it was actually kind of weird. So I had already seen like, KNBC 9 News stuff, and I didn't recognize him in that picture. It wasn't until I was on my Facebook and a buddy of mine sent a screenshot of a conversation with one of his friends. I think she might live near Excelsior.
And that's wild. She fucked this guy and she did. I mean, this speaks to the volume of men that these women are getting ran through by. She saw a picture of him, of a guy that she fucked, and she didn't have any recollection of him, even though his face is plastered all across the news. That's wild. That's different.
Or something like that. I'm not exactly sure. But that's where I read the name Tim Haslett, and I was like, well, that's weird. I wonder if it's the same Tim or whatever. And then I went back to that picture, and I was just like, my jaw dropped to the floor because I was in shock. I was in disbelief. Like, I didn't even recognize that picture. He did not look like that 3-4 years ago at all.
Really? He didn't look like that. Okay.
So you met on a dating site, is that correct?
Yeah.
And tell me about dating. How was he a complete gentleman?
He opened up my car door. He paid for dinner. He was really funny and really genuine, and he talks a lot about his son and his job. And I think he was humorous. He was very funny. He was very like smart and funny, and that's why we kind of clicked and got along so well.
Yeah.
He literally, he was not rude at all. Like, he was.
So, like I said, I mean, it's not like this guy is some incel and he can't get women. I mean, obviously, this young lady right here, I don't know how young she is, but she's saying that he was the bee's knees. He was all that. He was swaggy. He had jokes. He had a career. He was doing something with his life. I mean, this is weird, man. What made him snap?
There was zero red flags. Like, I would not have. I don't know how long.
Somebody says she sounds fat. Yeah, she does sound fat. I'm not gonna lie. So, I mean, obviously, my man was getting low-hanging fruit. Like, I wouldn't expect him to be getting baddies off of these dating apps, but he's obviously able to, like, some of these women, they'll have in their bio, oh, you got to be this, that, and the third, and you can't have this, and you can't have this. And this dude is getting success on there. So that's why I just find it funny.
This has been going on, but I would be in even more shock if this has been going on long.
Yeah, I can hear her cheeks in her speech. She talks like this, like her tongue is too fat for her mouth, or her cheeks are just too fat for her tongue.
Longer than this being like the first occurrence.
Okay. So you suspect there might be one victim, not more, that this hasn't been going on for too long, just from your experience.
I don't know about, I know there's been a lot of confusion about what she'd said about her friends that didn't make it. But as for like people talking about, oh, he was bullied as a kid, and it's not like he's one of those people that had been tormenting cats from 6 years old and then it progressively grows into this whatever, like, I think a lot of people are mixing up the popular Dahmer series with like this local thing, and then speculation happens. And all I know from my personal experience is, especially just from looking at the most recent picture, something has definitely happened that I don't know of because we haven't spoken. But that was not Tim 4 years ago. So I don't think that I could be wrong. I could be wrong. But if I had to guess, I'd be willing to bet that he has not been kidnapping and raping women for his entire life.
What did you two talk about when you dated?
We talked a lot about his son, the railroad. He loved his job. I think he was going back and forth to Texas at the time. Football, politics. He was really somebody to have a really great conversation with whenever you have different opinions, because
Dude, what the fuck? I'm reading Twitter right now, and the claims that they're making about this man. I mean, obviously he's a piece of shit, whatever. We got that out of the way. But the extrapolation that Twitter goes to is absolutely insane. So this woman says, Laura Bassett, and she pretty much kind of spells it out plain Jane, but I want to read some of the other reactions. We'll read hers first. Kansas City police called reports of a serial killer targeting black women completely unfounded rumors. Then a black woman escaped his basement wearing a dog collar with a padlock, begging for help and saying he'd killed two of her friends. Now, that's what she's saying. There's no evidence of that yet. Did she name the friends? All that kind of stuff is to be determined. But they're trying to make it seem like, the Kansas City police had knowledge of this situation and was trying to protect him by saying, oh, well, there wasn't a serial killer. I mean, they didn't know. And you don't know if he's targeting black women. We don't know what race her friends were. They could have been multiracial hoes on that stroll. You never know. So this one, Tracy says, oh my God, and this is a blue check mark. Oh my God, this serial killer news in Kansas City. A white man thinking we're in a race war, kidnapped, tortured, abused, and murdered black women. People told the cops, they waved them off as rumors. Holy hell. Now, what the fuck is she talking about? Nobody has mentioned that he thought that we were in a race war. Where the hell did she get that from? None of the news has reported that he thought that we were in a race war. Also, it's not like the police had any knowledge of this going down. People are trying to make it seem like this is a Dahmer situation where the police, caught him damn near red-handed and they ended up just letting him go. No. Like, the police had no idea, and people were just kind of making up random things in order to maybe incite some hysteria. But, a broken clock is right once a day. And yes, we don't know if he was specifically targeting black women. There was a black woman who escaped his grasp, but we don't know what if her friends really were killed. We don't know what race they are. So I think it's a little premature to jump to conclusions and say, oh, he was targeting black women. This old white woman seeking justice says white supremacist, serial rapist, murder Timothy Haslett Jr. was aided by the inaction of Kansas City, Missouri police. Well, how the fuck were they going to know that something was going on? I mean, seriously, like, these people are just jumping to conclusions. More on the woman who escaped alleged serial killer Timothy Haslett Jr., who had a family in the home while keeping the victim and other woman hostage. He didn't have a family. He had his son. That's it. Killing several other women, according to the victim. KCPD still denies a string of missing women are related to this case. So we don't know. You have to have evidence to charge him with specific murders, and maybe he'll confess. Most likely he will. A lot of these dudes don't mind just at the end of the day when they get caught, just, spilling the beans. So they're saying, have you seen this image anywhere? I hadn't, and I had to search hard for it. Not really. You put his name into Google, you're going to find it. He is the white supremacist who kidnapped and tortured a black woman from Kansas City. Thank God she escaped this past week after being held for nearly a month. Okay, so First of all, I don't know if you can be a white supremacist and be well, I guess you can. They're going to say, oh, well, the slave owners. So I guess you can for sure. But it kind of doesn't make that much sense. I mean, where are they getting the white supremacist thing from? Just because he was doing it to a black woman doesn't mean that he was a white supremacist. Okay. And like I said, we don't know the other people or the other women's identity. So you can't just, where are they getting like this white supremacist narrative in the white supremacy thing? Unless he wrote some, what's it called? Manifesto that I'm not aware of. Okay. So let's see. Okay, so this woman is detailing how her grandmother took in the individual who came up in her. Okay, let me see. I guess you can't click on the link. Here we go. So I'll have that queued up later. We'll listen to that really quick after we get the interview. But from what I'm getting from the woman that he was casually involved with, I don't hear any racist, white supremacists. I hope she asked the woman about that. You know, I hope she asked Maggie about if did he speak about any I guess groups that he was affiliated with, and was he online on QAnon or something like that? You know what I'm saying? Like that's what on Twitter, that's the narrative that they're trying to paint here.
He would listen and reply, not argue.
When it came to politics, what would he
Listen and reply, not argue. So this is a good question. When it came to politics, where was he at with it?
discuss?
You know, I don't really remember the specifics, but I'm pretty sure he was, you know, on the Republican side of the whatever you call that.
What?
Right. I just know that there was some interest in his politics during the pandemic, and that's why I asked. But this was before the pandemic, is that correct?
Yeah, so my daughter is 3 right now. When I did
So I do want to make a point. They try and say, oh, what were his politics before the pandemonium and after the pandemonium? It wasn't so much about the pandemonium, guys. You need to be asking what were his politics before George Floyd and after George Floyd, because that is the spark that, if you want to say somebody was radicalized, that would be the most I guess the most valid pinpoint in that time period where you could say, okay, people were pissed off that motherfuckers were rioting in the streets for sure. So if there was a radicalization, it would have happened from that, not necessarily the pandemonium. I mean, people, you know, pretty much laid down for the pandemonium. Like, people pretty much abided by the rules and social distance and did whatever we were told to do. So even though we all had issues with the way that they were doing it, right? But people pretty much complied to that. So I don't think it was so much about what happened before the pandemonium, after the pandemonium. It was really more about those BLM protests in the summer of 2020.
dated him, me and her dad were broken up at the time, and I had moved out, and that's why I was trying to date other people. And then so I'm trying to remember. I ended up blocking him on Facebook to appease my daughter's dad because he knew that I had been.
Uh-oh. So it sounds like she might have been this guy, Timothy Haslett, was a sneaky link. And we can tell this woman is fat by the way that she's speaking. The fact that this woman has 2 guys that are willing to fuck with her, this is what's wrong with men today, man. The validating of, you know, these chicks is wild out here, bro. Like, she thinks she on some pimp shit, going from her baby daddy to this serial killer. You know what I'm saying? Like, she thinks she on some player shit. Like, this is wild.
Talking or dating somebody else, you know. So that was the reason why I blocked him. So we weren't Facebook friends anymore. So I don't have the exact time frame of the last time that I spoke with him, but I know it's been at least 3 years.
Okay, at least 3 years. and he looks completely different. You didn't even recognize him. He liked football, politics. Did you say you went over once to his friend's home?
Yeah, I went to his house and his friends were there. It was during a Steelers Chiefs football game. He had a lot of friends, you know.
She's like, like how could this, like, bro, that's what I'm saying. Like, they're just trying to, they try and paint a picture, and I think you could blame a lot of this on Criminal Minds. They try and paint the picture of like these killers and these rapists as a socially awkward guy, and then da da da. And yes, in some cases, in a lot of cases, that is what it is, but not in all cases. And she's trying to, I think that she may have had a presumption that this guy was an incel, he couldn't get pussy. And then my thing is, where's the white supremacist shit coming from? Because if he specifically grabbed a white or a black woman and is, you know, taking advantage of her, like, wouldn't that mean that he's attracted to black women? I'm trying to understand the logic with this shit.
And
He had a lot of friends, and he was
his
okay.
friend was funny too. I remember that. His friend was hilarious.
And he was okay having friends over at his house.
An important question: what were the demographics of his friends? That's something that I would have asked, but you know, go off.
Oh yeah, and his house looked like a normal bachelor pad that was like cleaned up. It looked like Love and Family lived there, you know. I mean, I don't know about it needing a feminine touch or whatever, but it looked like a man's house that he lived there, and everything was like cleaned up. He cooked. His kitchen was immaculate, like cleanliness wise for a single guy. You know, I remember that being like, "Wow, you live nice."
I mean, that man, he swooned her, guys. I mean, that just goes to show, keep your crib clean, like Jordan Peterson says, make your bed and all that goofy shit. But yeah, a lot of these women are living filthy too, and they like to say that men are just filthy and they're living filthy pigs and da 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 da. And then like you'll have a lot of these women with a car filled up with all types of random shit, old McDonald's bags and all that type of stuff. But they're trying to say that men are the filthy ones. I don't know. Like most of the niggas that I have, you know, as friends, we keep our shit clean, cars clean, crib clean. Like when you come over, ain't no dirty cups and shit in the sink. You know, it's just, you know, some swag shit, some bachelor pad shit, like she was talking about. But yeah, I mean, it seems like they're trying to get this narrative from him that he was a white supremacist loner and he was, you know, he didn't have friends and all this kind of stuff. And it just seems like this guy was well-rounded, and maybe he snapped, maybe he was triggered by something, or maybe he just was radicalized by some of these Netflix series. Okay, could that be something as well? I don't know.
You know,
was it the house he's living in now?
So the address Old Orchard sounds familiar. I remember when I went there, I had to put it in my Google Maps to get there, but and the backyard looked like it was the same, but I'm not having the best recollection on what the front yard looked like, because I would have almost said that doesn't look familiar, but I'm pretty sure that that's the same house. I'm just not 100%.
And then think about it this way, dog. She met him on a dating app. How many dudes do you think she fucked that month and traded energy? See, this, you got to watch your energy, man, because some of these chicks is fucking serial killers. No cap. You know, serial killers, nothing all in them. And then she come over, bring it to you. She fucking a baby daddy, fucking this dude on dating app, fucking that dude on dating app. I mean, it's wild out here. And if this woman has options, I mean, that, I don't even see her face, but you can tell. You can just hear it in her voice.
Okay.
I don't think he's lived anywhere else. I think he's always lived in that house for as long as I've known him.
It sounds like you two got along well. Why did it not go forward with it? You know why it ended?
I do know that nothing particular happened. It wasn't like we got into an argument or an event occurred. It wasn't like that at all. I know that my daughter's father now was trying to get me back, and I know that he was gone on the railroad a lot, and I'm pretty sure, if I can remember accurately, that we just kind of slowly and surely fell off. Like there was nothing that it happened, you know what I mean? It wasn't like there was an argument, or it wasn't like I don't think I like you anymore or anything like that. I think we just slowly, just one of us stopped initiating contact.
You mentioned that there weren't any red flags during that time. Looking back with new eyes, wondering, contemplating, anything stand out that he ever said or anything he did that was strange to you?
No, nothing. No, and honestly, out of all of my dating history, he was on the one of the, you know, the better people. You know, I almost at one point kind of felt like he was almost out of my league. Just
Wow. Wow, that's crazy. And they call us insecure. I mean, women like the bad guys. This is another testament. I mean, even though it looks like he presented well for sure. So she probably thought he was a great stand-up dynamite guy. I don't know. Maybe he felt like he should have. He probably was out of her league as far as financially, no kid, or he had one kid, right? But maybe he didn't have custody of the kids all the time. But very wild situation. Very wild situation.
just because, you know, I had a lot of, you know, I was a rebellious teenager and everything. So I wasted my 20s partying.
And having kids.
So once I got my shit together, basically, you know, I'd wasted a lot of time, and I had dated some pretty, you know, not mature male people that I wasted a lot of time with. And so he was actually, you know, before any of this had happened, he would have been like on the normal side of things, you know, people that didn't have addiction problems. He didn't do drugs. You know, like I think he drank beer every once in a while. But
Yeah.
you know, out of all the people I've dated, he was probably one of the better ones, you know, or it seemed to be.
Guys, hit the like button, hit that Cash App, hit that PayPal, hit that Super Trap. This is exclusive content about Timothy Haslett Jr. They're trying to make it seem like he was some racist white supremacist guy just because he kidnapped and assaulted a black woman for some months. But I'm not really getting that vibe. I wish that they would have delved into maybe, you know, some personal conversations that they had even more. But just you have to be careful on where you're sourcing your information from, because people are literally just making shit up on Twitter.
You mentioned, you know, his son, that he loved his son. Did he talk about an ex-wife or that situation? Did he have full custody?
So he did. I'm not 100% sure if I remember. I don't think at the time that his son lived with him. I think they split custody 50-50.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm not sure what the status of, you know, the mom is, but I'm pretty sure from what I recollect that they got along fine and they shared custody. You know, they co-parented as far as I remember. You know, I never met his son, so you know, we weren't like, you know, boyfriend girlfriend committed.
Okay, so people are really talking about this white supremacists who believe we are in a race war. I guess this is coming from the Kansas Defender. So we'll read this article shortly after. Okay, so they got a comment of him. Okay, so they got his comments. All right, yeah, we'll get into this. We'll get into this. Very interesting. Let's get it.
Facebook official or anything like that.
Right. And what's the talk now? You know, in the area, everyone's waiting for police to say something to give us an update. What's the talk? What are you hearing?
So I live out in Independence, which is a little ways from Excelsior. So my cousin called me and she recognized that name and was like, "Is that same guy?" You know, because I was living with her at the time and he came to her house to pick me up. And I was like, "Yeah." And we were both kind of totally shocked. But I think the local talk is just the presumption of he's just been kidnapping and killing people, you know, and it's like, I don't know if that's the case. Maybe that is the case, but
Yeah, so she says she has no recollection of anything weird going on. Shout out to Cyrus Cherry with the $5 super trap. He says, I feel like since his kitchen was clean, he felt organized and in control. I could be wrong, but I bet he's been killing for years.
Oh, say less.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it past him, no doubt. I wouldn't put it past him, no doubt, but you know, we just have to wait and see for the evidence. Was he going to kill this woman? We don't know. But obviously she got away and she was able to tell her story, which we're going to get into as well. But yeah, I wouldn't put it past him, or maybe he just started within the last couple of years. But yeah, man, this one is wicked for real.
but regardless, from what we do know, I am in complete shock, and I don't think that would be a lifelong occurrence. I don't know if he had some kind of mental snap or something, but it didn't look like he'd been going to work every day, so I don't know if something had happened with that. I have no idea, but from the stuff that I've been reading about it, it looked like his son lived with him full time. So I'm not sure where the mom is or what's going on there, but I do know that he didn't speak like badly about her whatsoever. They shared custody.
Okay. Thank you. Anything else you'd like to say, Maggie, before we end? This has been helpful. I appreciate you sharing what you know.
I just want everybody to remember that his family is also at a loss. His son, his parents, I'm sure his ex-wife's parents, they are all at a loss because they're losing somebody that is not who they thought they were. Oh, good. I'm so glad. You know, and so yes, we need to stay victim based, but the way that people speculate and talk about, like, hey, I saw that guy one time at Ace Hardware. He was a weirdo. You know, people are like, oh, he kept to himself. You know, like people that know Tim or knew Tim know that that's like not Tim. And, or at least it wasn't during the time period that I had spent with him.
Okay.
So I just wish everybody would be respectful of his family and everybody on that end that is involved, because they are also suffering too. They are also going through traumatic things. So especially his 8-year-old son.
Thank you for that reminder. Yeah, I appreciate that. This is multiple lives are being affected here.
Yeah. Yeah, he was
Thank
a great
you.
dad, and I know that. There's no doubt about it. I am almost.
I mean, that was kind of a wild statement. He was a great dad, but I mean, I'm pretty sure he was exposing his son to what he was doing. There's no way that he could have kept that away from him. I mean, what type of nightmares is that young man going to have for the rest of his life?
Dead set that this would be a huge shock and surprise to his son. I don't think that his son was abused and witnessing anything, and if he was, I don't believe that.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for the information, Maggie. I will sign off here. And again, thank you for taking the time to share what you know.
All right. So that is that. Let's see. We have some more information that we'll get into as well. But I do want to break down some of the community's reaction to this situation. So let's listen up.
This is one of the most horrific tragedies that I have ever come across in my lifetime. I know that when we first reported this story, we received it from numerous community members who were making these reports and testimonies, is what we refer to them as. The police department refers to them as rumors, largely because they come from the Black community. But we reported these reports and testimonies in mid to late September. And, rather than reaching out to us to understand and gather more information about where we got this information from, rather than reaching out to the community to understand where these concerns were coming from, the police department, 3 days after we reported this initially, came out and literally just said these are completely unfounded rumors, is what they called them. And as you mentioned, they said that they're
Well, I'm sure they didn't want to incite fear at that time. Now, as far as them reporting it to the police and them not taking it seriously, it's probably because y'all didn't really have much evidence. Okay, so that's something that you got to come to them with something that they can work off of. From my experience, now I'm not saying that they shouldn't be held accountable and they shouldn't have looked into it. No doubt, they should have definitely taken it seriously. But some of these things slip through the cracks. There's a lot of things going on in Kansas City, Missouri, and a lot of times the police have to, they pretty much have to respond to incidents rather than preventing them from happening because these situations happen so fast.
There's no basis to support these claims. And so to me and to us and our community, the number one problem with how the police department handled this situation was that they called it completely unfounded without doing.
And he's definitely finna come up. He's definitely finna get a bag. Another civil rights grifter is in the wake. He's being born. There's one born every day. And this is a good story to kind of, catapult your career for sure. I'm not mad at him for doing it. But like I said, he said, oh, well, the police didn't look into it, probably because of the Black community. Dude, they're policing the Black community every single day. I mean, if it wasn't for the Black community, the police pretty much wouldn't have to do shit.
Any type of investigation at all. And it seemed, much more like they were actually trying to discredit our community voices and to silence our community voices than to, look after what was actually happening in our community. And to us, that's a testament to the type of anti-Blackness that is prevalent in our police department, which is also currently under federal investigation for racism and discrimination. And so once these new revelations came out, I actually reached out to the police department to see if they would update their statement or if they still maintain their initial position that our reports were completely unfounded. And they said that they do still maintain, regardless of these new revelations that clearly show that they were wrong, they said they still maintain their position that what we reported, they said specifically, was completely unfounded. And so we think that this is a larger conversation even beyond this specific situation. We think that this speaks to the silencing, the violent silencing of Black women.
Okay, so just go back to where he said the Kansas City Police Department doesn't care about Black people and they don't have Black people representing. Let's go back.
Reports were completely unfounded, and they said that they do still maintain, regardless of these new revelations that clearly show that they were wrong, they said they still maintain their position that what we reported, they said specifically, was completely unfounded. And so we think that this is a larger conversation even beyond this specific situation. We think that this speaks to the silencing the community voices than to, look after what was actually happening in our community. And to us, that's a testament to the type of anti-Blackness that is prevalent in our police department, which is.
Okay, so anti-Blackness in the police department. Anti-Blackness in the police department. Then you look at the chief of police, the new chief of police as of 2021, Carl Oakman, a Black man. So there's anti-Blackness in the police department, but the chief of police is a Black man. And I kind of already knew this just off of a hunch, because every major city across the U.S., the chief of police is either a Black man or a Black woman. Most of them, for sure. So I don't see how you can say, oh, well, the police department in Kansas City, Missouri is anti-black when the chief of police is in fact a black man. Like I said, my man is trying to come up. I get it, using the buzz terms, but you got to keep it a buck, bro. Cyrus Cherry with the $5 super trap says, it's always black guys with no black experience declaring to advocate. I survived trauma, alcohol abuse, etc. What stripes does this man wear?
Hold on. Hello? Where we at? Oh, you want to know where I'm at? We outside!
Exactly. And I mean, that's a testament to how outside Cyrus Cherry was, because he knows what goes down in the community. He's seen it all. He done seen it all, like Jeezy said. So for Ryan to insinuate that the Kansas City Police Department doesn't care about black people when they're literally policing black neighborhoods every single day, successfully and sometimes unsuccessfully, because y'all won't speak up and denounce the street code, no snitch rule. It's hard for them, so they can't. If you're not bringing straight up evidence, straight up facts, then it's not really much they can do.
Or if they still maintain their initial position that our reports were completely unfounded, and they said that they do still maintain, regardless of these new revelations that clearly show that they were wrong, they said they still maintain their position that what we reported, they said specifically, was completely unfounded. And so we think that this is a larger conversation.
Well, what did y'all report specifically?
And even beyond this specific situation, we think that this speaks to the silencing, the violent silencing of black women, specifically of the black community.
The violent silencing? Who violently silenced these women? I mean, I guess he's talking about Timothy, but is he talking about Timothy or the police department? Because violence, I mean, y'all have to really stop using words that don't pertain in the conversation. Like, if they violently silence you, they would be like basically muzzling you or putting a hand over your mouth and maybe holding you in a headlock or something.
At large here in Kansas City, and this is actually something that has been happening since the inception of the Kansas City Police Department, and we know that this is not the first time that this has ever happened.
And Ryan, I wondered if you could elaborate on that, some of the department's legacy of inflicting violence on the black community, and also at times even police officers themselves implicated.
Absolutely. I mean, our police department, as I mentioned, is under federal investigation at this very moment. The federal investigation was launched a little bit over a month ago. Even just this past year, there have been multiple cases where the police department has been indicted for corruption. For instance, a situation last year where the very first police officer in Kansas City Police Department history was finally indicted for the murder of an unarmed black man. And in that case, this was the case of Cameron Lamb. In that case, it was proven in the courtroom that the Kansas City Police Department planted evidence. They planted a gun and said that it was from Cameron Lamb. In another instance, a man named Malcolm Johnson was murdered in a gas station, and the police department in the official police reports said that Malcolm Johnson was armed and that he was engaged in a shootout with the police department. And it wasn't until weeks later when employees of that gas station leaked surveillance footage that showed that not only was Malcolm Johnson unarmed the entire time, but that he was actually being held down by 3 police officers, and one of the police officers accidentally shot another police officer and then murdered Malcolm. And so this pattern.
So yeah, I'll have to look into the what is it, the Cameron Lamb and Malcolm Johnson situation even deeper. I'm not too familiar with those two, but we could definitely look into it. I don't mind. But to say that these officers don't make mistakes and then try and do what's in their best interest to get away with these situations is not true. For sure, like, people make mistakes. The job can be extremely stressful. All these things, I'm not making excuses. because I haven't looked into the case. But if it is how he says it is, then absolutely we all know that that's wrong. But just to paint the whole police department in that way, especially if these guys are getting convicted, okay, it's not like they're getting away with it completely. If these guys are getting convicted, like the officer who killed Cameron Lamb, apparently, and this was, I guess, 2019. He's being convicted. So what's the issue? He committed a crime and he's being held accountable.
Of what's taking place in our city with the police department lets us know that we have no expectation any longer that they have the capability to be able to provide safety for people in our communities. And so that's why people like you'll hear from Justice Gatson from the Real Justice Network, these Black women who are creating infrastructure and public safety infrastructure that we can create for ourselves in our community, so that we don't have to rely on this police department that we know is very clearly and blatantly anti-Black, blatantly racist, and is currently being investigated for these things. So
all right, so that's a little take from the community. We'll break down another take that we have from the community as well, to kind of give you guys a sense of how the community is responding to these situations. So let's listen up.
I am a little upset right now. The reason I'm upset is because we got 4 young ladies that have been murdered within the last week here off of 85th and Prospect. We got a serial killer again, and ain't nobody saying nothing.
Okay, so you can't just say that all those 4 women were killed by the same man. Some of those women could have been killed by super gremlins, for sure, because we know how prevalent these shootings on the highways are. So slow down, bro. Slow down a little bit. We only found 1 girl. There's not evidence of any other women yet, and we don't even know their ethnicity. So
Is not covered it. We got 3 young ladies that are missing. Ain't nobody saying a word. What is the problem? Why can't we get some cooperation? Where's our community?
Oh, you're asking for cooperation? I mean, I wish we could get this many backseat drivers when Black people are killing each other. I really wish we could get this many backseat drivers with outrage and being boisterous about young Black men being killed in the streets and young children being shot by stray bullets. Even people who young children who are being shot by bullets intended for them. Like I always say, y'all ops keep getting younger and younger. So the reality is there's no outrage in the community when every day in Kansas City a Black man is being killed. Okay, and it's not by the hands of the police. It's usually by the hands of another brother. Okay, so he's talking about cooperation, but the community never cooperates and gives up their murderers. So why should the white community cooperate and give up their murderers? Make it make sense.
What is the problem? Why can't we get some cooperation?
Especially if they're not killing white people, allegedly.
Where's our community leaders? Where's our activists? Where's our public officials? Where's our police department? Where is those folks at? In President Gardens. Come on now. We need to start knocking doors. We need to start making sure that this is brought to the light. We cannot continue to let this happen.
So we gonna start knocking doors, bruh? We can't get any of this type of energy, any of this type of attitude and outrage when you have 16-year-old kids carjacking and shooting people all day long. It's crazy. And And then they're making a big deal, and this is a big deal for sure, but they're making a big deal out of this situation. But nobody's talking about the woman who held her twins captive in Harris County, black woman with her little boyfriend with the dyed dreads. Keith Edmondson says Gabby Petito has a Lifetime show about her, while thousands of black women are missing because of white trash like this. My brother, I'm gonna tell you what. Out of the thousands of black women that are missing, I guarantee 90% of them were killed by black men. So all these black girls that are missing, they weren't killed by white men. Yeah, we have this one-off situation, but why is he trying to make it seem like white men are just kidnapping black women? I mean, yeah, this guy obviously did that, but the majority of these situations, and you can go down my channel and figure it out for yourself. We have the numbers on this, the domestic violence numbers. Black men are 38% more likely to commit domestic violence on their spouse, their partner, their significant other. So we know that the likelihood of these thousands of black women who are missing being kidnapped by white men is pretty much slim to none. And we have this guy as their calling card, as the main example that they're going to use to prove this situation, when this particular situation here is pretty much an outlier, an anomaly. It's not very common. He put this black woman in a metal collar, chained and handcuffed her, but you've never heard about it. They're black. Gabby was white. My man used the wrong there, but you know, I'm not a grammar stickler here. So let's see. I don't know who this. Oh, this is a bishop. So let's break down what the bishop is saying.
Georgina, what is your communication been with police since then?
None. Zero. Zilch. They are backtracking as much as they can now. I have a few friends at the police department that are reaching out, telling me, good job, don't give up, you need to. I have a couple of friends that told me to make the comparison in certain areas and to look at certain things. Prospect being the key.
Georgina, what is your...
Okay, so that's a little snippet on what the pastor has to say. So a lot of people are talking about this on Twitter for sure. So let's get into this claim of him being a white supremacist and all this kind of stuff. Looks like they've got some comments that he has been in, some tweets. Social media posts reveal captor and possible serial killer Timothy Haslett Jr. was a white supremacist who believed we are in a race war. And the latest updates from the horrific ongoing investigation into Timothy Haslett Jr. The defender has uncovered disturbing social media posts made by the kidnapper and sexual predator. In the latest updates from the tragic ongoing investigation into Timothy Haslett Jr., the defender has uncovered disturbing social media posts and comments made by the kidnapper and sexual predator. The race war started a long time ago. Wake up, you dumb bitch, he wrote in one violent post, okay? In another post, he emphatically professed his belief that Breonna Taylor deserved to die, and I honestly cannot remember once in my life hearing a black person take responsibility for anything except looting and rioting. Which, I mean, they're not taking responsibility for that either, to be fair. But in the case of Breonna Taylor, we've broken that down as well. She fucked up. She was in a tight pickle. She was in a bad situation. Now, does that mean that she deserved to die? No, but she was around some bad people, and she was involved in some deep shit, and that was her fate, honestly. You know what I'm saying? Like, people think you're going to play with this street shit and ain't no consequences. You're just going to be fucking all these street niggas and nothing's going to come back to you. And that couldn't be further from the truth. So that was pretty much what happened to Breonna Taylor. Obviously, we can talk about the rental car where her boyfriend, the Glover boy, ended up, capping somebody in the rental car. There was a dead body found in it. I mean, it's a lot going on with her situation. And I'm not saying she deserved it, but a lot of times when you're involved in that lifestyle, that is what's to come. In other posts, he goes into detail about his beliefs that black people are lesser forms of humans than white people, saying why they decide to act like my equal, then we can discuss, or when they decide to act like my equal, then we can discuss their equality. Okay. There are only a few of the abhorrent racist comments he made. See below for screenshots from Haslett's Facebook. So there you have 1 year ago. The race war started a long time ago. Wake up, you dumb bitch. And then they're saying content warning, a whole lot of racist shit. Another dreg in the town. Tim Haslett went off this morning. He lists his work at a contractor in Kansas City. I think his workplace would like to know a bigot is in their ranks. So maybe they got him fired from his job, and this could have been what made the spark. So doxing him could have sparked him to do these things. So you have Joseph Cameron Allen in here. Then you have Tim. He says pictures of Breonna Taylor and her criminal boyfriend posing with guns. Wait, what's the caption say? Partners in crime. Tell me again how innocent she was and how it's all the big bad policeman's fault. This shit right here is why blacks don't get taken seriously, because there's always more to the story that gets left out, and because in every single instance, it's always someone else's fault and they're completely innocent. Honestly, cannot remember once in my life hearing a black person take responsibility for anything except looting and rioting. So there's some strong words there. Some strong words indeed, but I'm not condoning his actions. I don't agree with what he did. Obviously, he's a sick son of a bitch. But technically there were no lies told in that Facebook post. I mean, let's just keep it a buck. Here are the pictures of Breonna Taylor and her mans in them. She was strapped up. He was strapped up. Obviously, he was not supposed to have a weapon in his possession. But there he is with the strap. And then Tim Haslett is replying to a man called Joseph Cameron Allen, or named Joseph Cameron Allen. And he says, hold up. Wow, man. Had a yawn, getting a little tired in this bitch. He says, you're right. I don't. When they stop looting, we can talk. When they stop rioting, we can talk. When they decide to act like my equal, then we can discuss their equality. And I genuinely wish they would, because that's a conversation that desperately needs to happen. When they're ready to have a grown-up conversation, when they're willing to stop blaming people like me who've never did a fucking thing to oppress them for all that's wrong in their life, when they can grasp that I'm not responsible for my ancestors' actions any more than they're guilty just because they're black, and when they can look me in the eye and say that we're both equals, then they'll have my absolute support. But I will not yield to the demands of petulant children that have no regard for the harm their actions have on innocent people, and think that equality means giving them special treatment over another race. When they are prepared to act like equals, I'll treat them like one. Until then, why should I give a rat's ass about a bunch of thugs and animals that would take everything I have from me if they get the chance? Why should I enable them to get a chance to raise a knife to my throat? Because I've seen absolutely no evidence that equality is what they're actually after. Superiority seemed much more like it, but it's very difficult to tell right now because both goals are pointed the same direction. But by time it becomes clear which, it'll be too late, and I'll be goddamned if I'll ever yield to some black power regime over my dead body or theirs. So yeah, I'll vote for Trump, and I'll continue supporting racist, oppressive policing of the blacks, because as long as they're still choosing to act like my enemy, then oppressed is exactly where they need to be. So I've been speaking about a backlash. And that is Tim's thoughts, and then you've seen what he did. Now, how does this benefit a quote unquote race war? I have no clue. Okay, how does this, this isn't like, he went and took advantage of some black women, and now he's like, now the white race is up one. Like, that's not that's not how it works. But obviously this man was radicalized in some way to do these things. Now, did he, like I said, we don't know exactly if he was just targeting black women or if he was just like, he had great fantasies. We don't know if he was just targeting these black women, and then the 4 missing black women that they were talking about, we don't know if those are the same women that he allegedly kidnapped and allegedly possibly had killed. But definitely some comments that he was very opinionated about. And my thing is, with the comments, I'm not going to read into the comments so deeply like that. Obviously, sometimes you'll get these nuts who end up committing violent acts like he did. But just because somebody points out these things in the comments, especially when it comes to the Breonna Taylor situation, even the specific attitude that we have in the community, and the way that we're going about procuring political power, I'm not really upset about that. There wasn't anything that was too crazy. It wasn't like he said that he was going to commit harm or commit violence to somebody. He was complaining. He was getting some shit off his chest. And I'm not trying to minimize what he actually did. But we don't have all the information in. We don't know if he specifically targeted her because she was black, or he just wanted to take advantage of somebody. And then if he felt like this was a quote unquote race war, then how would him taking advantage of random black women benefit, what he was standing for? So a lot of questions, a lot of questions that are going unanswered. And we will do a follow-up stream on this topic for sure. But I want to get as much information in this one as possible. And that was very enlightening there. So the claims that he was a white supremacist targeting black women, the white supremacist thing, does that mean that he's a white supremacist because he made those comments? I don't really think so. It wasn't that crazy. In my opinion, he didn't incite physical violence on anybody, but they did classify his posts as violent. Okay. So I want you guys to understand the way that they're posturing these things. Obviously, he definitely had a problem with the riots of 2020 for sure. Okay. He was not a supporter. And maybe when y'all doxed him and got him fired, that really sent him over the edge. So it's not so much that, he was just out to get black people, and he was specifically looking for black women to get his lick back. To me, it seems like, maybe he could have lost his job over this doxing job, but I don't know. Maybe not. But I guess the information will all come out.
My name is Sierra Tharp. I've lived here all my life. I'm 38 years old. And I was the house where that lady luckily came to my door and was brought in.
Just tell us, was it like any other regular morning?
Yeah, actually, I was starting a new job.
Okay.
At our bus barn. I was being a monitor for our early childhood center.
Oh, wow.
And I was on the bus, and my grandma called me, and I'm like, it's got to be an emergency. She's like, I'll talk to you when you get home. And she's like, the police are gone. Well, when I got home, I walked in the door and I'm like, no, they're up the road. And I'm thinking, what the heck? There's tons of cops everywhere.
So this is the woman who, I guess, saved the sister.
And she just looked at me and she said, that's where the girl said she was raped. And I'm like, what? I was like, what girl? And I'm thinking a neighbor.
Yeah.
And she told me, she
this is a neighbor, I guess.
said that she was sitting there and a lady come banging on the door and she heard screaming. And she opened the door and the lady said, "You got to help me." She said, "I've been raped. I've been held captive." She's like, "You got to help me. He's going to kill me."
Wow.
And she took a minute because she has, you know, almost 2-year-old in the house.
Yeah.
And then she said, "My heart told me that I needed the help."
Wow.
She's
Wow.
seen the state she was in, and she brought her in. She sat her down on my couch and wrapped her in a blanket I had on my couch and grabbed food and water. She was weak, and she had a metal dog collar around her neck and duct tape, which we're kind of guessing that was around her mouth, that she had maybe pulled down. My grandma said she had ligature marks on her wrists. My grandma said it was a metal collar, and the way she described it was like a bad, she called it a bad dog collar.
It
She
was
said,
restricting your breathing?
yeah, it was restricting her breathing. She said that they couldn't cut it with scissors or anything, whatever it was made out of. And she said that they did cut it some and they were able to loosen it so she could breathe, but that they had left it there. And of course, she said the duct tape was around her neck.
Yeah.
She flung that door open. She let that dog out and she just ran. And a lot of people, you know, are questioning, well, why did she go to her neighbor's house? And I think you walk out his door, you see my street. So I think she just, you know, panic mode. I need to get out of here. And to me, going down that hill, you can still see that house, but you're kind of sheltered. You know, like shielded to where I think she ran. And then she's like, "I need help."
Yeah.
And my grandma said she was clothed. She had some like shorts on, and she said she didn't have much on, but she did have some clothes on.
Okay.
But she's like, that was the last thing I was even thinking about
of what she had on.
Yeah. And she could tell she's real weak and real hungry.
Your grandmother really did a heroic thing.
Yeah. And actually she apologized. She said, "I'm sorry I brought the police to your house." And I said, "No." I said, "You did the right thing." I said, "That's what I would have done." I said, "If you would have told her no," her telling him no, that was a few minutes he could have been there and grabbed her. And so she was trying to find somewhere because she knew he'd be back. And then the police came in and she was talking about how gentle the police were. Like she was like, they were so like, they handled it so great.
Okay, so the police who first responded, they handled it great. Okay. They're still upset about how the police didn't take seriously the missing black woman claim. But according to this woman, the police handled the whole situation just grand, okay? And it's not like they didn't find her. She escaped. You can't just go door knocking just because they say, "Oh, well, you know, there's some missing black women." The police aren't going to go door knocking to figure out what actually is going down, for sure.
And she said that she did say, she made the comment that my friends didn't make it out. He killed my friends. They didn't make it out.
Did she give any indication as to how many of her friends?
No.
No, she just said friends.
Yeah,
plural.
she just kept saying that because she's worried about her friends. She said she told them exactly his name. She knew the exact name, the exact house. But she told me, she said, that girl knew her facts. She told them everything she could. She's like, and that story never changed.
So she had said that she had been there since
Yeah.
September?
Yeah, she said she had been there since September.
Was that early September?
She didn't. I don't think she really said.
Okay. Anything else that you can think of that
I can't believe they asked it. They haven't asked if the friends were black as well. That's a pivotal question that should be asked, I think.
grandmother told you maybe that hasn't been said or should be?
No, I don't think so. I know one thing that's going around is of sex trafficking, and it really doesn't sound like sex trafficking.
Okay.
She's kind of under the impression, and the way she described it to me, it sounded like that she probably knew him. I know the news said no, but
You had said that
like dating app, you know what I'm saying? Possibly dating app situation.
that you had spoken with him in the past. You've had some
Yes.
interaction with him.
Yeah.
And it hasn't gone well. Can you maybe
yeah, I had
that?
went up. I don't remember if I was chasing my dog. I have a husky that likes to run, but I was up there either chasing my dog or I was walking one of my dogs. And this little puppy, pit bull, I think it was a pit bull, come running over. And most people, you know, especially here in town, you know, I helped him. Being a dog mom that chases her dog, I tried helping, and there wasn't a thank you. He was very cold and very kind of rude and everything. And that was the
Oh, so
only
you mean to tell me that he he was rude to these white women too, disrespectful to white women too. So maybe it wasn't just about the woman being black.
I've talked to him, but like I've only seen him a few times outside, and the last time I seen him was a couple months ago, and he's outside his truck, emergency flashers going, and just his actions were odd to me, but not enough that it kind of stuck out, but I just went on like, oh, he's creepy. Well, the house looks dead. Like I didn't even know a child lived there besides the trampoline. I didn't know there was a kid there until yesterday.
So the other woman said that the house was very clean. So, and this is a neighbor saying that the house looked dead. So I guess we can kind of get a gauge of what her standard of clean was.
Yesterday.
Okay, well, I know your grandmother doesn't want to speak, but she's heroic for having done this and really made a difference in this person's life and in saving them.
Yeah, I told her that. I said, "You're a hero," and she said, "No, I'm not."
Yeah,
she's like, "I did what I was supposed to." She's like,
"That's cool."
But she's like that. She's like, I don't want attention from it, which I understand. And my only thing, like, I wasn't there, but I wanted the story out there and kind of speak for her. And
she's like, grandma don't want attention, but I'll take it. I'm dead.
Absolutely.
And I was hoping if this girl somehow seen it, that she knew that I was thankful. I was thankful that my house sheltered her.
Yeah.
And we ended up taking a care package today to her,
Very
to the police department for her.
That's
because I want her to feel loved and
absolutely
know that people care. And that's actually one thing I tell people about this community is, they say it takes a village, and we have a village. There is mothers around this town that they're there when I need mom advice or, something.
Yeah.
They're there. That's my village. They love my kid just like I do. Yeah. My husband grew up in the city, and he used to hear growing up people talking bad about Excelsior.
Right.
And now he tells people, I love this place. He's like, I like living here.
Yeah. That's great. I heard you say earlier that you were proud to have grown up here and be living here. Yeah.
Yep.
I feel the same way.
I never wanted to move away, and because I knew we had a good town here, and there's a lot of people here I love. And
yeah, we're very fortunate to be in the community that we are.
Yes.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, so we'll watch this news clip as well. Guys, like the video, share the video. I'm going to have to use the bathroom, but I will play this news clip and kind of jump in here once I get back. But like the video, share the video. We are almost done. I do want to get through this interview of a past friend of Tim Haslett to kind of see if he has any more information on maybe possible radicalization, white supremacist views, and all these types of things. So let's get into it.
Senior I-Team reporter Jessica McMaster sat in on the court hearing this afternoon. She joins us from Clay County.
Investigators say Timothy Haslett Jr. kept a woman captive in his basement in a small room he built himself. He's charged with rape and kidnapping. Today, a judge entered a not guilty plea as Haslett awaits to be appointed a public defender. Timothy Haslett Jr. made his first court appearance Friday afternoon. The bearded 39-year-old is accused of holding a woman captive in his basement for nearly a month until she escaped, knocking on doors Friday morning, pleading for help.
She didn't have much of a voice, so it was more like a light help me.
Lisa Johnson says she looked out her window to see a woman walking up her front stairs in need of help. Johnson called 911.
As I did, she started to go next door. It frightened her. She told me if I called the cops that he'd kill us both.
Next door is where Sierra Tharp's grandmother lives.
She heard a woman screaming and came knocking on the door. So she opened the door.
Tharp says her grandmother brought the woman inside.
The lady said, "You have to help me. I've been raped. I've been held captive."
Court records reveal at the time of her escape, the victim was wearing a metal collar with a padlock, had duct tape around her neck, and was dressed in a trash bag. The same thing reported by witnesses.
She had a metal dog collar around her neck, and she could see the ligature marks on her wrists. And my grandma sat there and she talked to her and stuff till the police came.
The victim tells investigators she was raped repeatedly and whipped by Haslett, handcuffed at
Whipped is crazy. So maybe there is something to this, to the white supremacist shit, right? Because I mean, he was whipping the ass, goddamn. I don't know, with a belt or with a switch, but that's different.
At the ankles and wrists and held captive since September. She tells investigators she escaped when Haslett took his child to school. Johnson says she's familiar with Haslett and his young son.
Nothing that would make somebody's head turn.
But the bruises and marks on Haslett's apparent victim, too obvious to ignore.
She was so weak, so weak. And I could see the markings on her wrists. I actually seen some on her ankle too.
Haslett is due back in court next Tuesday on the 18th. For the I-Team, I'm Jessica McMaster, KSHB 41 News.
All right, guys. So we're going to get into an interview with a friend of Tim's to kind of get more insight on the type of guy he was. So let's listen up.
I am on the phone with me right now. I have Ashley Niepater. We did try to do this on StreamYard on live, and it didn't work as far as technology goes. But I have her on speakerphone right here. She was a friend of Tim Haslett Jr. in high school. And I'm so grateful for all the people that are reaching out to share what they know, because right now, police are not saying much. They said things initially. I will say that when a woman escaped from the residence of Tim Haslett Jr. in what is this town name? It's I always pronounce it wrong. Excelsior Springs, Missouri. And that's not where you're from. You went to high school with him in Illinois. But when a woman escaped from there, police initially told us, and they were very forthcoming about what was going on, that they were searching the house, that they were processing evidence, and what was going on, and that the victim, who is from Kansas City metro area, was safe, back with family. And we have not heard more since. That was Friday morning. We've heard some things Saturday. And all we have now are people that are coming forward like you, Ashley, allowing us to understand who Tim is, what's going on, what could possibly have been happening in his residence. So thank you for any information you're about to share with us tonight. With that being said, tell us a little bit about your relationship with Tim.
I went to the high school in the neighboring town. We met junior, senior year. And then hung out afterwards. He was fun, extremely nice, polite. I can't say anything bad about him when we were younger.
Okay. Dang, that's what everybody's pretty much saying, that he was, nice guy, whatever.
Okay. And tell me a little bit. You mentioned before we started recording this interview that he was clean kept. He was good looking. Tell us.
Very good looking. I had actually seen about this on TikTok, and I Googled it, and I seen his picture. I was very shocked to see that. He was always dressed nice, had nice haircuts, like whatever was in style at the time, very kept up. So it was disturbing to see him look the way that he did and be described as a mountain man.
Are you still in Illinois where you grew up with him?
Yep.
And so what's the word around town there then? This is a small town, 600 people.
Actually, it's sad because people are attacking innocent people for friendships they had with him and stuff like that. And then there's a lot of people that are shocked because no way possible could we believe any of this. I don't think he's lived around here since he was 19, probably.
Okay. And what are people suspecting? Are they suspecting a serial killer?
A mental breakdown.
A mental breakdown.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit more about that.
Somebody else involved.
Sorry, go ahead. Ashley, what did you say? I apologize.
I would like to think there was no other victims, but I wasn't there, so I don't know.
Okay. He was good looking. Did you suggest that some people even thought he was gay due to his good looks?
Yeah, because he was just good looking.
Okay.
Like he dressed very well. Like it was one of them. Most of the boys, you know, they.
What the hell? Like how? What? I don't get that. They thought he was gay because he looked so good. What the fuck does that mean? What the hell? Like these bitches always trying to make somebody gay, bro. Like what the? This shit weird. Oh, he looks so good. He must be gay. What?
They just wear their boots and their Wranglers or whatever, but not him. He was always dressed nicely.
This was
and he was good with women.
good with women. Okay.
Yes.
This was a small town. Again, how many would you say in your graduating high school class?
30.
30 people. So would he be considered excuse me, popular then?
I went to the school next to him. I'm not for sure. He hung out with our town more than his own, so which is like 15 minutes apart and small.
Okay. Do you know of any word that he was bullied or anything like that? I've heard those rumors.
I've heard that as well.
That he was bullied.
Yes.
Okay. People are asking who Tim Haslett is. I want to explain that Tim Haslett has been charged with kidnapping and rape. I don't know if there will be additional charges that are going to be coming forward. The house, his residence, has been boarded up right now. Is that right, Ashley? You said that you were watching some of this. Is that correct?
Yep. I've seen that.
And did you see that online or were you there earlier?
No, online.
Online. Are you, those that know him well, what are they saying? What have they expressed?
Their shock. It's mental. Everybody thinks a mental illness is what I would say.
A mental
something that nobody knew about, and it's escalated to this.
Okay, because and let me explain that. What you're saying is there are really two theories going around. Again, the public is left to speculating because law enforcement have really shut down communication. We thought for sure that there would be a press conference today after what happened this weekend. Friday, a woman escaped from his house. Nothing's come forward except that they've been processing his home for about 3 days, now boarding it up, now blocking it. So it's been suspected that there are multiple victims. The woman that escaped the house alluded to that. She said her friends didn't make it. And the other thing we're hearing from people that knew Tim are suspecting that it's a mental break. And can you explain that when people say mental break, what is it that they're trying to say? That this just happened?
I think possibly a mental illness that maybe was untreated, didn't know about.
So they're trying to hit him with the mental illness shit. I'm not so sure about that. I'm not going to give him that out. Fuck all that. I mean, I think that maybe he had some like sick fantasies, some BDSM shit, maybe mixed with race play. I'm not completely sure. We'll have to wait for the details to come out. But that's what it sounds like to me. It doesn't sound like, I mean, I guess you could call that a mental illness, but it sounds like this was sexually motivated, for sure.
About, or if he did know it wasn't spoke about. And the way that they're saying he was isolated, he wasn't going anywhere, he wasn't, and the way that his appearances looked, it just seems that something has triggered something obviously horrible in him to do.
Maybe it was his baby mama, maybe that could have been some pressure that was weighing on him. These baby mothers can definitely do a number on men and their mental health.
Something like this, it's wrong. I'm saying that, but it's out of character.
Okay. So the way he looks in his mugshot, in other words, he's unkempt, he's not clean. He wasn't that way.
Absolutely not.
Okay, he was not that way. And isolated, what are you hearing as far as understanding that he's isolated?
I was seeing many TikToks, one where he was saying the grub, like the person that delivers food, that like it was a no contact, the neighbor's not seeing him, having any interactions with him really. Unlike him, because he was a very talkative person. He loved working on vehicles and stuff.
Guys, vote on the poll. Vote on the poll. The question is Tim Haslett a white supremacist? The first answer you can choose is yes, the writing is on the wall. The second answer you can choose is no, he was speaking facts. So guys, vote on the poll. Let me know what you think. I would be very interested to see what you guys take on Tim Haslett is. This will be the last video that we watch. So I appreciate everybody who came in and showed support. Make sure you support the channel, like the video, subscribe to the channel for more details on these gruesome crimes that are sweeping the communities, and the communitino.
He would talk to anybody about stuff like that.
Okay. You mentioned, we've been in contact through a few emails and calls, and you mentioned that this was really emotional for you. Can you explain what you're feeling emotionally about this story?
It's sad when you grow up with people in such a small area, and these people have went through milestones in your life. When we became really good friends is when we were just starting our adult lives. So to see something like happen to this, I feel for like everybody involved, because we ask ourselves, was there signs that we didn't see? Should we have reached out to him and asked if he was okay? Like, keeping in touch,
Mm-hmm.
And some people have been, I don't have Facebook, I don't have social media like that, but I know other people do, and they've been kind of attacked and harassed because of certain things on his Facebook of them having interaction. And I think it's all being taken completely out of context, and it's just not right.
This is kind of what happens when people are left to speculating. They're
Yes.
picking things apart.
He's still somebody's father, son, and friend as well. Even though I don't think anybody agrees what he did was okay, because it's not by any means, but he's still a human.
Okay. Do you know what he was bullied for?
No, I don't. He was the new kid there. It's a small town. I did not hear that until after this. He never discussed that with me.
Okay. Okay.
He was his own person with us. Like, we were our own little group, a very tight-knit group at that. And no.
Okay. Did you keep in contact with him at all after the high school days?
Yes, I did, here and there.
What was that about? Like, did you get together, or is it catching up and hearing about
No,
family?
actually, I have not seen him in a long time. We would Facebook message here and there, just life in general. He, at the time, worked at Union Pacific. I have a family member that worked at Union Pacific, not the same as him, but he liked talking about the railroad. He liked talking politics. And when he went through his divorce, I reached out to him about that.
Okay. What did he say?
So the divorce could have triggered something as well. All right. The divorce could have definitely triggered something. So let's listen up.
It was hard on him.
The divorce was?
Yes.
And this divorce, is this his son's mother?
Yes.
Okay. And what, do you know anything about that divorce beyond it being hard for him?
No, not really. I never met her.
Do you know anything about custody of his son, or who's caring for his
Yes, I
son?
know that he was fighting for that, and I know he won.
One full custody.
Yes.
So he won the custody battle against his wife, which is pretty rare. So it looks like, the divorce was weighing on him, but it looks like it kind of came out favorable in his, from his perspective. He got the better end of the deal. Maybe his wife wasn't capable of raising a child, deemed as an unfit parent. Who knows?
Okay. Interesting.
To my knowledge.
To your knowledge. What else do we need to know right now, Ashley? What do you want to say right now and make it clear while we await
I kind
news?
of wish that, like, one of us from the group was able to talk to him, because I think he would tell us, like, if there was anything else that we're not knowing or they don't know. I think he would maybe shine some light on the situation. but I mean, we can't. But I do feel like what he did was wrong. But people don't just wake up and do something like that.
No, they don't. You're right. They don't just wake up and do something like that. Yeah. Ashley, keep in touch with us while this goes on. I know that I think it's important to note that you are in touch with other people that know him.
Absolutely.
In some ways, you're a spokesperson right now, but you're also keeping those other names private, which I understand. Is that a good way to say it?
I do know that one of them did say recently that he was seeming off to them, and they were, considering somebody go visit him or see him, but they didn't express what was off. I don't know what was off, but it was he was changing his character, and it was being noticed.
So people were noticing a change in him.
Yes.
What things do you know? What things they were noticing?
No, it wasn't said. No, they just said that they did notice it.
Okay. People are asking about the
until it
social.
plays out.
Got it. Some people are mentioning the social media thing. You're not on social media now, but previously you were. Is that a good way to explain it? Because you were talking to him on
Yes,
Facebook.
I was. Actually, yes, I was. I got rid of social media for other reasons, but yes, I did keep in touch with him on social media when I had it.
Okay. People are mentioning that charging documents will likely be available tomorrow, and that will probably tell us a lot more. What do you
I
suspect?
don't know the Missouri laws. Does he have a bond yet? Or that's what I'm saying. If there's more charges being present, that's what makes me wonder. They can only hold somebody for so long without a bond unless there's charges more, right?
Well, he does have charges of kidnapping and rape. I don't know about his bond. Right. He hasn't, I don't know about any bond set. And that is the speculation you're joining with us is, the charging documents or the probable cause, as is also known, will tell us a little bit more about what they discovered and what they found. And it sounds like a lot more answers will be available tomorrow, as well as a likely bond if there is one, or that he'll go before a judge. But investigators have been very quiet about this, which is why, again, we're so grateful for people like you and anyone that's giving us any little bit of information. I think the silence is part of it's actually creating more speculation, because why the silence, So they have filed charges, though, so they can hold him with the charges. Of course, kidnapping and rape are very serious charges. So he's been charged with very serious crimes already. Whether or not there will be more charges is to be determined. There might be more charges, there might not be, depending on what we learn tomorrow. So hopefully there will be some answers tomorrow, and we will definitely keep everyone posted on those. Is there anything else you want to say right now, Ashley?
I think people need to remember that what he did is what he did. The people here in Illinois, they had nothing to do with it. So harassing them and speculating bad things towards them isn't fair.
Okay, so in other words, a lot of you and your friends have been getting threatening, harassing emails, messages, people being upset that you were friends with him. And
some of them have said some things, yes.
Okay, so in other words,
not to me personally, but I think people are taking things off of his personal Facebook and taking them out of context, and it's not right.
So you heard what she said. They were taking the Facebook comments out of context, and it's not right. So there's more to come. We'll get more information on this, but very, very sad situation, interesting situation. And hopefully we will get info on if there were others who were kidnapped and or murdered.
Okay, thank you for sharing that. In other words, let's hold our judgment and not necessarily go real life with the many people that knew him or were friends with him. Let's wait and see what tomorrow holds, and we would love to be in touch with you and or your friends. And if you have any other statements to make as things move on. Please continue to be in touch with me. Does that work, Ashley?
Yes, and we are all praying for the victim as well. We are.
Thank you for saying that. This victim needs prayers. The latest is that we've heard that she's a 23-year-old woman. She's local from the Kansas City metro area. That law enforcement have said that they suspect she will make a full physical recovery, but emotional is a whole other story. I can't imagine what she's been through. And we heard that she was wearing a dog collar around her neck, that she had duct tape around her neck, that she was afraid she was going to be killed by Timothy Haslett, and that she looked starving, that she was hungry. So thank you for mentioning her and the prayers for this victim. And again, we'll be aware of that. We'll make sure to not harass those that knew Timothy or said good things about him, and we'll wait to see what tomorrow holds and what the information holds. Anything else you'd like to say?
No, that's it.
Okay. We're seeing there are other people saying they were friends with him too. Thank you everyone for being here. We're going to continue following this. We'll be here tomorrow, Hidden True Crime. And if anybody else wants to say anything, I am here to listen. Ashley reached out. Maggie reached out.
So you heard it there. Couple women coming in. I mean, it sounds like they're pretty much vouching for him. They're caping for him. It sounds like not much outrage from the white community, it seems, against this guy. But oh wow, it looks like she interviewed Bishop Tony Caldwell as well. So very interesting situation there. I don't think we have time for the bishop's interview, but how about this? I will play like 5 minutes of it, and then you guys can go watch it on your own. We'll just kind of skip through to the middle, and I'll play like 5 minutes of it, and you guys can watch it on your own. And then we'll go ahead and get up out of here.
And this woman is a hero too. She escaped. I want to say that too. This woman escaped. She saved herself. Sierra Tharp's grandmother took her in. And she did state that everything else Sierra Tharp told us on our channel was in the probable cause. So I just want to say that the Sierra Tharp report to us was accurate. And she did say that. Sierra Tharp told us that on our channel, that she said, my friends didn't make it. My friends were murdered. That's what Sierra Tharp tells us. So,
okay, so I guess the woman that he kidnapped name was Sierra Tharp. Just trying to get some more information on that. Or maybe that was like the white girl who helped save her. Sierra Tharp is the white girl whose grandma found her. Okay.
So right, what you're saying is accurate. And going back to what you said too, I also want to say that she was whipped. She was whipped.
Yes.
She had injuries consistent with her being whipped.
I'm going to say this, and I may be out here on a limb, but I'm sitting here thinking after all that she endured, I'm believing that he psychologically tortured her, also telling her that no one's going to come looking for you. No one's ever going to find you. And if you run away, I'm going to kill you and them, and that's what she made a statement about. And I'm sitting there thinking,
well, she didn't necessarily say that he said that. She said that she felt like he was going to kill her. And she felt like if she, when she ran and found help, that he would kill both of them. So I don't think she said that he said that. I think that was just the overall sentiment that she felt.
As they dismissed what I was saying, I'm believing in my mind he took that to even do more to her, and let her know, hey, look, here's a news clip of they're not looking for you. They don't believe that you're missing. They don't believe that I have you or you're ever going to get away. I'm sitting there looking at thinking about her and the hope leave her mind of ever getting out of there behind being dismissed, and knowing that she had to act on her own because no one was coming for her. You know, just that by itself will kill someone's spirit to ever get out. This young lady is a hero. This young lady endured things that we would never fathom, and she got out.
All right, so I ain't gonna lie, Pastor talk a little too slow. But anyways, guys, vote on the stream or vote on the poll. The poll is looking like 29% of you guys say yes, he is a white supremacist. 71% say no, he was speaking facts in his Facebook post. I just want to share the link to the merch page right here. As you can see, we've got merch available for you guys. Please go ahead and support the channel by buying some merch. You know, rock with the Diversity Hire hoodies, the affirmative action hoodies. There's so much more in store, literally. We got hats. We've got the Keep It One Thante hoodies. We got the Sisters Come Get Your Kids hoodies, the Pusheisty Mask hoodies, Officer Brooks hoodies. We're going up, guys. We are going up. As you can see, Officer Brooks for president. So we're out here getting creative. If you want more t-shirt ideas, hoodie ideas, just let me know. Just send it to me and I'll be sure to make whatever you guys want. Also, make sure you subscribe to my backup channel, BGZM News 17. BGZM News 17. I know a couple of you guys are watching it from BGZM News 17. So make sure you subscribe to the backup channel. We have 532 subs on BGZM News 17. As you can see, we're trying to get through 1,000 subs to get this channel monetized so that we can put out more content and really keep this thing going. I've got editors on standby who want to do this content, who want to help me out and post for me on Instagram and get a larger presence, get more of this message out there. But I need you guys' support because it does cost money to keep those editors on payroll. So make sure you go subscribe to BGZM News 17 to help me get monetized over there, and then purchase the merch if you want to make a financial donation, or you can hit that Super Trap, that Cash App, that PayPal. And yeah, that's pretty much it from me to you. I'm glad we got to cover this story. Very interesting. Obviously, this guy, Timothy, is a sicko, and we will be keeping up with it, and we'll see the details, the gruesome details, I'm sure, to come in the future. So with that being said, you already know what it is, man. It's your boy, Black Gen Z Mindset, aka Jen Quavius, aka BGZM News 17. I am out. I appreciate everybody who joined the stream. Make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe. You already know. Stay safe, guys.
I'm here on the corner of MLK and Medgar Evers, and it's a very tranquil scene compared to just a couple hours ago where a drive-by shooting just took place. Excuse me, I'm getting live updates as we speak. I've just been updated to the amount of casualties from this drive-by shooting, and I'm getting reports that 2 people were actually declared deceased and 27 others were shot and injured but are in stable condition. And although we must pray for the families of the fallen, we must also praise God for the aim of the super gremlin. If you want to know more about the victims of this crime, make sure you add BGZM News 17 on Patreon at www.patreon.com/BlackGenZMindset. Also, don't forget to like the video, share the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and comment on the video to continue the discussion on how we can find solutions to all this gun violence in the streets. For more hard-hitting news coverage from the community, by the community, I'm Janquavius Jackson, here live, reporting from Atlanta, Georgia, BGZM News 17.
And cut.
All right, dog. Let's get the out of here before these niggas come back.
Whoa. Yo! Ain't that nigga J?
Nah, that ain't me. That ain't me.
He just went live
That
with
ain't
that
me.
funky ass suit on.
That's that nigga. That's not me.
Hey, get that nigga.
Janquavius Jackson, here live, reporting from Atlanta, Georgia. Pray for me.
Oh, look at Daddy.
He's not my grandma.
Really, Ava?
He's not. My dad's in jail and I miss him.
Gang violence and other kind of violence. So it is what it is.